This is session 43. Who would like to give a recap? I vote for Brendan since he's doing his eyebrow thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, you weren't here last time, so.
So what I remember is we were down in the pit after Aurelia decided to she had lost patience with the bugbear that was a bugbear or hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin. And thunder waved his ass into probably deserved, though.
Got it coming.
Alternative methods could have been utilized, and then that got the attention of others. So we went down into a tunnel, which they then threw flaming logs down and covered it, trying to smoke us out. Which we then decided, rather than trying to climb up and engage this unknown number of enemies, that we were going to try the tunnels to try and find another way out, which we did eventually find. And we started navigating the ruins, trying to find some way down. When we finally did discover a way down, there was a strange stone bridge that had a pretty steep inclination that would make it difficult for us to climb down. And on the other side, there was an encampment of hobgoblins that were readying cannons to fire upon us. We were preparing for battle with Aurelia about to teleport herself and Lucia Rossi into the middle of the camp to try and deal with the cannons and everything. But then there was an elf who requested parley, which we met in the middle of the bridge. The elf, in a measure of kind of an olive branch of sorts, also brought the hobgoblin who was responsible for giving the order to try and kill us and smoke us out, who was then, we were given the opportunity to take his life, and which I think we did not, but then the hobgoblin jumped into the river below.
And the elf pushed him.
Wait, what?
The elf pushed him.
Oh, the elf pushed him, and then he died. His neck clearly broken after the fall, and Kurt making a point that his body continued to drift until it was gone, which I greatly appreciated. And we eventually agreed to go down into the encampment to speak peacefully with the elf. He wanted to first search our possessions because they were looking for the wand of
Eternity's doorstep.
Yeah. So they wanted to just make sure that we didn't have it. So in exchange, they would let us pass, and there would be no further ill will or anything like that. So seeing an opportunity to not engage in a conflict and further bloodshed, we agreed to that. And they searched our belongings, eventually came upon the Mordenkainen's tome with sword in it and tried to remove the sword, at which point it began attacking the elf and their men. We managed to address that situation but then they did find a tome that kind of outlined the history of the wand, and so they requested that we give them the book which eventually we did agree to. And then they gave us in exchange for our goodwill and acting with honor and reason, they gave us supplies and even gave us information regarding what had been transpiring since the time that we entered the manor, letting us know about the various wars that had been going on between the hobgoblin, the theocracy of the hob, as well as against Whitespear and Montvert, as well as the giant Goliath demon alliance that is going on. And then also there's the new companion that we have in the little dragon thing that follows Zarius around now, who is apparently heir to a kingdom that is about to be destroyed, and all of its citizens dragged into hell once there is the completion of some kind of statue or monument.
Which we guess would take a few years.
Yeah,
right?
a pyramid. He's building a funerary pyramid. That's why it's going to take a couple of years to get it all done.
Right. At which point, all souls are forfeit and dragged into hell. So we got that going for us. So we were able to get in a long rest, and we may have also had some, hopefully mostly positive interactions with any of the people in the camp going into the long rest.
We can discuss that a bit. Certainly, the Alpha seems to be the only elf in the camp. The hobgoblins are all avoiding you, and Lenarius, the elf commander, would say he basically has ordered that. They view you as having defiled this site that their god blessed. So the hobgoblins are giving you the side eye, but from as far away as they can possibly be. At least they follow orders. That's the one virtue of the hobgoblins. But it didn't come up because you stopped the sword. But my plan was, if the sword killed Lenarius, the hobgoblins would probably let out a cheer because the elf was gone, and then would have attacked you
us
because the elf was gone.
So we basically stomped any plans the DM had of doing our group in. And so now my understanding is that we're starting the new day rested with provisions and with the goal of trying to find the Starlock Prison, where Lokexicus and Cato and the rest of the Colossus and the Deadpools are currently being held.
Yeah, and we're being led by T-Hole, who is an imposter.
Right. Although Daggerface was sure he was an imposter and now is less sure. I mean, he had the book. He has all T-Hole's equipment. The only weird thing is that he volunteered to be the one to walk out onto the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was also something that surprised Lucirosi. So he thought that was just some way of probably just being the first one to speak with them, or he had some other plan that was going to leave everybody in the dust.
So the new day begins. As you get up, you see Daggerface is strapping on his armor again, and turns to all of you and says, "Well, I guess this is where we part company. You, my friends, gave my life to me, and I've learned so much from each of you. From you, Lucirosi, I learned who it is I want to be. Zarius, you taught me the power of faith and compassion. Aurelia, You're a good kid with a noble heart, and I hope you won't be hurt by T-Hole. T-Hole, you taught me not to trust. Crick, I haven't known you that long, but T-Hole did teach me that trust is dangerous. I do hope that you enjoy your freedom, and I'm glad we were here to see your first steps as a non-slave. But I have obligations to the South, to my Dom, and to the family of the Holbeins. So it's time for me to stretch my wings, leave the nest, stand on my own 2 feet, and sharpen my axe on the seashells, as it were. I'll be headed south. I can travel with you a while if you're headed south, but if you're taking the direct route, I think we part company here.
May your passion burn like wildfire.
Daggerface, it's been truly an honor. I am sad to see you go, but I certainly understand your need to tend to your obligations. But know this, I vow with every ounce of my being that we will find a way to undo the curse that T-Hole has laid upon us. And I will work tirelessly in that endeavor.
I hope for that too. I hope I can become half the adventurer of you guys. And I hope you all live, except for T-Hole. So were you going to go directly to, you did, Linarius did provide you with a map. So essentially the map that's on Roll20 now. That does show, he did mark off where Starlock is. He doesn't know if there's a road. He's sure there is a road into Starlock, but he doesn't know exactly where it is. There are probably, he figures, a couple branches off of it, but the last 100 miles or so probably leads nowhere but to the prison itself. You know, he's pretty sure that if you took the roads, you could find it easily enough. If you go overland a little bit harder, you could get lost. And the mountains are fairly rugged, particularly the dark brown portion of the mountains are the very high peaks. Those might be close to impassable. You know, barring a miracle or the ability to fly over them.
Mm-hmm.
Did we manage our long rest yet, or?
Yes, this is the
Okay.
morning after the long
Right.
rest.
Get my spell slots
I
back.
need to find out if I woke up on the right side of the bed today.
That's true.
I did not. I am banged.
Zarius, are you preparing any kind of food purification or water or anything like that?
You don't actually need to, because Keprit can create food and water
Okay, cool.
once a day.
Yes. So that is handy. Let's see here. I need to pull his little sheet up too, so that I have that.
Zarius, you're preparing Revivify?
It is always prepared.
Okay.
I sent you a message, Kurt.
Shall I prepare a method for sending a message?
Yeah, if we get separated, that may be helpful.
I meant for Lokexicus, perhaps even Helweir or Kajika.
Would you be able to receive a reply?
Yes.
I think it would be valuable to know that Lokexicus and the others are safe. Because if they are not, who knows how long the owl had been seeking us out before it found us and delivered us the message. So If we head to Starlock Prison and find that they are no longer there, or worse, they're no longer around, and
Kepri can indicate how long it took. They traveled together. How long did it take?
So sorry, what are you asking?
How long it took for... How long was Kepri and the owl looking for us?
They had been there about permanently sort of camped there a little more than 9 months.
Hmm. So there's that.
Okay. In regards to traveling, given the conflicts that are going on, Lucius, you would probably advise against traveling along the roads if possible, but if the terrain is too bad, it may be worth the risk.
I mean, you couldn't go, just looking at the map, you couldn't necessarily go in a straight line without crossing over into the very treacherous part of the mountains. But you could take a more direct path than the roads would lead you, because the roads would require you to go more or less all the way back to Montvert and then take another road that goes all the way up into the deep mountains. Which one? It might be just as fast either way, because there's a little bit of an extra distance if you're traveling along the roads. But you could certainly skirt the edge of the high mountains without the athletics checks getting too high.
Okay. Oh, also, Kurt, over the short or the long rest, was the moon out or the stars?
Yeah, you were able to attune to the Ring of Shooting Stars.
Okay, cool. I think that's all for my attunement slots then, because I have the Rod of Lordly Might, I have that, and then does the Luckstone require attunement?
Yes.
So that's I'm maxed out on attunement slots. Yeah. All right, so what are we wondering now?
Whether you were, I'm still wondering if you're taking the roads or going to travel directly overland through the mountains.
Believe that a road might be better.
But we may be attacked again by hobgoblins.
I never thought I would say this, but I'm unhappy that Hellweir's not here. For all his flaws, he was an excellent guide through these sorts of situations.
Maybe he is nearby.
I think it best if we maintain our distance from him. He's made his choice. I'm sure that time has not done anything but sour his mood more greatly, especially if he is now in league with the demons as the other Goliath and giants are.
another enemy.
All right. I think that it is a necessary risk to travel along the roads. Not only do I think it would be quicker, but we can't afford to get lost.
So as you set out, Daggerface says farewell to the commander as well. And the commander says, if you're traveling down through the roads, at least take this with you. And he reaches into a pouch and pulls out what looks like a pennant, like a small flag, basically. And he hands it over to you, and he says, display it openly, and hopefully any hobgoblins you meet won't bother you. That said, you're traveling with, I have no doubt that they'll leave most of you alone, but your friend Crick and T-Hole might draw some attention given that they're both humans. A dragonborn and two lion-headed people, I doubt they would even think to stop you. They wouldn't know what you were. They would assume you were just passers-by, but not part of, not anyone we're in conflict with.
We could be prisoners.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, it's always, if you're the prisoners of two lion-headed people and a dragonborn, that also might still generate questions.
True.
Crick, you can drop your human disguise, can you not?
Yes. Only to show my other form.
Perhaps it would be wise to do so while we are journeying. Obviously, having a flaming person will draw attention, but perhaps it will also create pause for anybody that might want to interpose themselves along our path.
Can you disguise yourself as something else?
That may be safer, as the Fire Genasi are more so known to be. They look like demons. Is the easiest way to say it. But yes, I can disguise myself as something else.
Perhaps as an elf.
Hmm.
They seem to
Or
be the ones
even
in control.
a hobgoblin. Yes, I could do this. I don't do it just yet.
Before Daggerface leaves, I'm gonna give him the torch that doesn't die.
Okay. Oh, thank you, but won't you need this?
I can make another.
He stows it in his backpack after making sure it won't burn it, testing it out a couple times. He's seen you do it, but he's never done it himself.
Right. Trust but verify. I get it.
T-Hole taught him not to trust.
We got a bunch of rubies, so
if you are taking the roads, he can travel with you at least as far as Monver, as that's where the paths would actually diverge for the two of you. So is that the plan?
Yep.
Okay, so Monver is still about 100 miles from where you are, so it takes several days to get there. You do encounter hobgoblin patrols, mostly very small, a couple of scouts who do come out to challenge you, but you none get all that close to you before they see the pennant and then move off again. Very, very rarely do you see them in the roads itself. The mountains here aren't terribly rugged at this point, so they seem to be more or less laying off to the sides of the roads, possibly to see who they can catch walking along the roads. You see one supply caravan that seems to be headed towards the ruins of the Floatstone Palace. That is directly on the road and mostly manned by hobgoblins with 2 elves in tow. They, again, don't seem to give you any trouble. When you approach Monver, you can clearly see you're still about 15 miles outside of it. There's another branching road that will lead you deeper into the mountains, into where Starlock is. And Daggerface says he has to go down the other branch if he's going to head south.
May Astros ever brightly shine upon your path.
I don't know that he does shine light down on the soulless, but I appreciate the thought. Take care of yourselves. I'm sure our paths will cross again.
I certainly hope so, Daggerface. Be well.
And he proceeds to walk down the path.
Eventually, Crick would walk into like a grassy plain or something and then make a pillar of flame, cover himself, and then he'd change his form into a hobgoblin.
As Daggerface walks, and as you part company, just as he is about 200 feet away, he stops and picks some things up and then hurls a stone that clunks T-Hole, would have clunked T-Hole in the head, but he catches it.
Damn T-Hole and his new monthly skill.
So headed north, the mountains do become more rugged as you go deeper into the mountains. You haven't run into, you do see signs of what looks like battles. There are definitely a lot of very old, probably more than a year old corpses. Almost everything you see, there's a stray dead hobgoblin or elf body here or there, but to the extent that they fought here, probably those mostly got carried away. You'd see a lot of human and dwarf bodies in particular, with an occasional halfling and gnome, all of which seem to be, to the extent their livery remains in the livery of Longspear. You're guessing they were retreating as they were being attacked from the forces that were invading. At least the signs you see along the road all point that way. There are rows and rows of these bodies, most of which are lifted up onto spikes or crosses that have been planted at the side of the road. A sort of gruesome display of trophies from the victory. But not much in the way of hobgoblins. And as the road gets more rugged, everyone give me an athletics check.
You said it mostly humans and dwarves.
Yes, and occasional halflings and gnomes.
Okay.
Off to a great start.
I'm gonna take 1d4 off.
So, wait, what are we doing?
Athletics check.
Athletics.
Awesome.
15.
So you're all making it. This road isn't what you would consider to be very smooth. Clearly, it's not traveled by carts ordinarily. It is pretty rough hewn and pretty narrow. And after a while, after about a day's travel, Zarius, you pick up a level of exhaustion just from climbing up this hill with your bum leg.
Fun.
So the second day, everybody can, you're not going to get lost because you're on these roads, so there's that. But everybody will do my travel thing. There's still 2 more legs of the travel to do. So somebody who wants to go pick a skill and tell me how you're aiding the party as you travel along these rather rugged mountain roads.
I mean, I can go for a survival to, you know, I don't know.
Sure. Survival's a perfectly fine skill to use. You could use survival to, I mean, there's not much in the way. You couldn't find like an alternate path through these things, but you might be able to use survival to find, you know, some sort of clear stream where you could wash off, or find meat that isn't the sort of bland stuff that Kepri can conjure up.
Right. Alrighty. Disadvantage because of exhaustion.
Yep.
Yay.
Fuck.
No,
Damn it.
and we're lost.
No, you're not lost because you're on the road. But
I'm only finding the shitty creeks.
As you're traveling along the road, you're traveling along a position where you're fairly high up along the side of a mountain where this path goes. There's a cliff to one side that looks down onto a valley below. It is quite a drop if you were to fall off this cliff. You're pretty, you know, you're giving that a pretty wide berth. So you don't necessarily, there's no risk of you like falling off the edge unless you're really trying to. But as you're walking, you see in front of you, there's a goat in the middle of this path. Nothing else seems to be around. There are 2 trees immediately beyond it, but otherwise it just appears to be a random goat.
My hunger is tireless.
Looks to be about 100 feet away from you.
I shoot a firebolt at it.
Okay, give me a roll. You hit the goat, and the goat immediately erupts into a puff of smoke and is gone.
I'm gonna just
My food.
glance around the area. This seems like it might have been some sort of illusion, so.
Yeah, no, you would get, if it was an illusion, you would have expected the firebolt to pass through it.
Mm-hmm.
This, I mean, I would say, give me either religion or arcana check.
Yeah. Luciosi would be like,
I'm not good at either.
how great is your power?
It's
Yeah, you're not really sure why it erupted into a puff of smoke and blew away.
Is it like lingering like a spore or something?
No, it just erupted and then immediately dissipated. But Aurelia, don't you have arcana?
Yeah.
Anyone
Okay,
who wants to could try. You don't even have to be trained to try this one.
minus.
Yeah. I'm just going to say that T-Hole just wasn't paying attention.
My bad.
And Luciosi's just so in awe of Kriknarobal's strength over fire.
It's not that
So yeah.
good.
T-Hole might have been paying attention.
No, T-Hole only just now, as you discussed this, T-Hole's like, what? Disappearing goat, you say?
What?
Well, that sounds suspicious. I totally forgot it was Tuesday. My schedule was completely thrown off. Sorry, that was my bad.
No problem. So yeah, you don't see anything around you, but everyone can give me a perception check.
Rolls are not with me tonight.
Got that one.
Thank God you did that with disadvantage too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So just a split second after you see the goat vanishes, Zarius, you hear the sound of just pebbles begin to roll down the side of the mountain on the far side away from the cliff. But you don't see any particular source for them. But your senses have gone off. You feel like there's something there.
Something.
Something that caused those pebbles to move.
Right. But like out of view, we don't see it.
Right.
Be wary. There is something nearby.
What? Sorry, I see nothing.
I heard it. Shifting of rocks.
Where?
Yeah.
Around us.
It would have been off to the west, basically northwest of where you are, but to the west of where the goat was.
Just on the off chance, I'm going to use my divine sense in that direction.
What's the range on your divine sense?
60 feet.
Okay, the goat was 100 feet when it got shot. So
Okay.
within 60 feet, you're not detecting anything.
Okay. I would be very careful. I'd have my weapon out, and I would start looking around the area where Zarius indicated.
I mean, it looks like a rock face. It's not a wall exactly, but it's a pretty steeply sloped rock face. But otherwise, it just looks like rocks to you. Nothing even, you don't even see a feature big enough for anything to hide behind.
So at that, Luceros,
Maybe that's true. There are trees ahead of you too, so possibly there's something beyond the trees that you just can't see, but nothing up on the slope itself.
I would probably then slowly approach the trees.
Okay, so the trees were on the far side of the goat. Let me switch everybody over.
Oh, I'm spooked.
So you guys are here. The goat is now toast, but I'll just leave the goat token up there because that's where he was.
Okay. And then that was like to the north. Something.
You think you heard the rocks probably about here-ish.
Okay. Yes, we know you're a monk.
Are you sure?
So you can feel free to move yourselves. I know
Is that-
Lucerosi was approaching the trees. I mean, I was talking about these two trees beyond the goat, but there are a couple trees on the map.
Is
Wait, where was the goat on the map?
The goat is still.
Oh, okay. I see his token.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would start slowly approaching.
Mm.
Rick would like look to Aurelia and be like, "Is this how goats work here on the flesh plane?"
I have no
No.
idea.
Hmm.
I see two Kepris here.
Goats are not supposed to disappear.
Kepri dispels his mirror image.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Actually, T-Hole, now that you're focused on this, are you trained in Arcana? I think you are.
I am. Yeah.
So you can give me an Arcana check with disadvantage because you weren't watching. Yeah, you also don't really know. From their description, you can't tell. All you know is they said they shot a goat and it disappeared.
Well, it looks like a goat to me.
I'm gonna focus my attention on roughly the area that I heard the rocks as I move slowly forward.
Right. All you see are just rocks.
Right. So a large map here. Does T-Hole still have the staff that I gave him?
I do.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
It's a quarterstaff, so technically you could use it to beat people up.
Is it a quarterstaff, or I thought I thought it was a full staff? Well, that's good to know.
I think. Well, I mean,
But a full staff does 4d6. A quarter staff only 1d6.
Ah, it's true.
If only that were how it worked. Everybody would have full staffs.
So I guess T-Hole will take out his demonwood staff and just kind of get it ready with the first sign of mischief.
So now I'll take the goat away since it's already vanished. But Lucerosi, as you get there, you begin to see a boulder at the base of the mountain seems as if it's beginning to fall and roll forward in your direction in general. But you realize as it begins to roll that it's also unfolding, and you see stepping out, made itself of rock, is a very misshapen and deformed, but also huge, standing about 50 feet tall. It looks like a stone giant. But you've never even heard of one of this size or with the degree of deformity that it has. And then in its hands, you see it releases into the air what you're absolutely sure, although I'm not sure you've ever seen one, you've certainly heard stories of Manticore.
he's just throwing Manticore out. Okay.
Well, apparently he had it in his hands. In one hand, he has a battle axe. In the other hand, this picture has a horse, but he had a Manticore that he was protecting as he was hunched over, disguised as a rock. So he is releasing that, and it takes off into the air, and everyone can roll initiative.
And I assume that they see us already, so there's no hiding.
But now that you're up close, you realize that there's also a little stake in the ground, and probably the goat was tied to the stake. So this may have been the giant's version of an ambush.
Wonderful.
Don't forget to click your character before hitting initiative.
I don't know how to get it to minus 1d4 off all my rolls. I can only get it off some. Oh, hang on. There we go. I got it, I think. Have a look.
Fucking seriously?
Okay, that's not right.
I don't
Brennan,
necessarily care if we can't easily get 1d4 off your initiative. We don't need to adjust
Okay.
that every time. But for some reason,
Okay.
your initiative, oh, there it is. I mean, I could adjust it, but just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah,
is it just is it on skill checks and saving throws, or is it also
it's off attack rolls as well. It's off everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And it's ability checks.
right, but there's a space under the saving throws where it says global save modifier.
Yep.
You could put -1d4.
Yeah,
And then
I
there's
do.
the same thing where
Yeah.
you have the tool proficiencies. And then there's also the same thing under the your attacks.
Yeah, I've got them all set up, but like everything, that one doesn't work. Initiative doesn't work. And what was the other one which I tried rolling? Skills didn't work either.
Yeah,
There
there's
should be
not
one-
one
there
under
should be-
skills.
Oh, maybe I didn't set it
There's-
up. There should be
yeah,
one under
I've-
skills.
It works for global attack modifiers, so it worked before. Global skill
Okay.
modifier, I just did that, but it only adds d4s. See? I can't get it to minus off a d4. I even wrote minus d4 in the algorithm and it didn't work.
Yeah, I think there is a way to do. You have to put minus square bracket 1d4 square bracket just to make
okay.
that, just to make it recognize that you're trying to do minus 1d4. Like I have in your global save modifier, I've written it out the same way.
Oh yeah, I see, yeah. So
But it would not affect anything in this particular fight anyway. Your 20 might become a 16. You still go second.
okay.
So the giant stands up, releases this manticore, and then it will go to charge forward. It doesn't actually have to charge forward all the way, though. It gets to here, and then
It still probably has reach to hit me though.
Yes, it brings its giant axe down to try to hit Lucharosi. And I think it hits once.
Are those rolls hidden?
Well, I think they're invisible.
Yeah, I can't see the rolls.
I don't know why that is. Let's see. Okay, it got a 19 and a 17.
Yeah, the 19 hits.
So 25 slashing. And I will check his sheet to see if I've somehow hidden these rolls. Nope. Okay, some roll 20 problem.
Damn virus.
Yeah. So, Crick, it's your turn.
Okay. Well, it just runs up and hits Lucharosi. Okay. I cast Immolation. Oh no! First I'll cast my Mantle of Flame, and then I'll cast Immolation on it. So so Immolation Bear. It's gonna make a DC 15 dex save.
It got a 7.
Awesome. As I'm casting that,
Oh, I figured
fire
out how.
swirls around me.
I figured out how I was hiding all the rolls. But go ahead. So it takes 15 fire damage then,
Cool,
and it's
fucking ones. Yeah.
and it's on fire.
Yeah. So it's gonna keep burning.
So I can't even see the token is so big, I can't even see the little fire symbol. So you may have to remind me.
Okay.
How far are you from the manticore? Manticore is just going to fire 3. Well, it'll move first. Manticore flies above the tree and then fires 3 tail spikes at Lucharosi.
Awesome.
And it's Teal's turn.
How tall? So the giant's huge and says 50 feet tall.
Yes, it's big. It's colossal, technically bigger than huge.
All right, let me see. See, 80 feet from it. So I'm gonna move 50 feet to get closer to it, which is about here. And then this is my movement. And then I'm going to spend a Kai point to dash to it for another 50 feet. And then I'm going to do that's bonus action. Yeah, so I'm gonna take my staff and like poke it with a solid poke and
Right in its big toe.
right in its big toe. and in doing so, I'm gonna bane it. Which is
You could probably bane it the manticore too, because it's 3 creatures.
does the
So,
manticore.
but the bane.
Oh
the
yeah,
bane
so that'll be an
isn't-
action to do. Yeah.
You'd
Instead of an
either
attack.
attack with the staff or use bane.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just bane it then.
I haven't had a moment to enchant it further to allow for that possibility.
So what save is it?
Charisma, I think.
Charisma.
So it failed.
Damn. Boom.
Mega failed.
So now you gotta subtract. That should be a fail too, I think.
Let's see.
It's either a 15 or a 16. I can't remember what it was when I made the staff.
Let's
see here. What did I have in here?
Well, last time we had a bump to our proficiency bonus, it was level 9.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, but
See, I just used my spell DC before, which
Yeah, it would have been the spell DC of Zarius at the time he made the staff.
yeah, I was level 9 whenever I made it, so that would be DC 16 then.
Okay, so they're both baned.
I was born in the darkness.
Zarius, it's your turn.
All right, so first thing is there's 30 feet. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Then I'm going to do, let's see here, confirm what level. 2 levels higher, yeah. So I'm going to go 4th level spiritual weapon. Not a lot of damage there. That's annoying. There was a 1 in that calculation.
It definitely hit, but you can see it is like striking stone.
What?
I said it definitely hit, but you can see it is like striking stone hitting this thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's force damage, so fuck stone.
Right. Still have to beat his armor class.
Oh, okay.
And
so it didn't actually hit.
Mostly,
got it.
No. It actually this did hit, but
okay,
if it gotten much lower, it wouldn't have.
Okay, and then what I would like to do is hold my action to just before Lucirosi goes, to do my channel divinity path to the grave on him, so that he's vulnerable to Lucirosi's hopefully raging and smiting attack.
Intent.
Okay.
It'll be very obvious whenever the Grim Reaper points to where to hit.
So Aurelia, it's your turn.
All right. Come on, token. I'm gonna move up here.
Oh wait.
Moving super slow. Okay. And Aurelia looks over and just looks at this big, huge stone, disgusting creature and screams, "I hate this place!" and casts Shatter.
Is that a con save?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just realized it's only within 30 feet. So I'm not going to be able to do that. He could still do Shatter. I'm just going to do my Toll the Dead. So he doesn't make 2 saves.
And so is he Bane? It's Bane. I think it's disadvantage because he's made of stone, or
What does Shatter say? I thought it was objects, not creatures made of stone. But it could be. He's not actually. I mean, he's partly made of stone, so maybe it's double damage.
a creature made of inorganic materials such as stone, crystal, and metal has disadvantage.
I'll give you that one. So he got a 13 and failed. So he takes
Okay.
full damage.
All right.
Nice.
I never actually considered whether or not giants, like, is a cloud giant made of cloud?
So does his axe, that big weapon he's carrying, take damage too?
No. Held items, certainly. It would kill the game.
Isn't that the point?
It would always be, everybody's attack would always be, I destroy their weapons.
Disarmed.
Yeah. Now it's Lucierosi's turn.
All right.
Sorry.
So first thing Lucierosi is gonna do is heal 20 points with his hands. As an action. And then he's going to rage as a bonus action. And then he's going to move up into beat face range, although it's more like beat toe range. And then
Bloody ankles off.
and then I'm going to use an action point to take another action where I'm going to do my striking. So
Both hit?
all right, and then I'm going to use a third level smite. So just subtract the rage damage from there.
I see.
And then also with one of those attacks, I'm going to use my rod's drain life ability. Which, where is it? DC 17 Constitution save.
So he makes it even with the D4. He'll make that.
Yeah. All right, so then that one goes away. All right, that's my turn.
So this has turned bad for the giant real quick. He seems to inhale very deeply. His chest expands probably out to twice the width it already was unnaturally, and you can hear the ribs inside breaking as it does so. And then he leans very low and begins to just blow. A huge stream of hot breath hits you, and then you begin to feel the pelting of small stones coming directly out of his mouth that get larger and larger as he exhales. That's the wrong one. Never mind that.
Like, damn, those are some stones.
He would have fucked you up with that rock.
Yeah.
So the attack roll shouldn't be there. Never mind the attack roll. Everybody make me a dexterity save.
All right.
Everybody.
T-Hole, you should have been, you should have moved closer to me, or maybe I should have moved closer to you. All right, so dexterity save.
Come on, Osiris. Ugh.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Kepri doesn't need to, but everybody else does.
Yeah, I actually meant to say that I would have had him stay back.
I'm going to use an action point to re-roll that.
Invisible behind a tree here.
There we go.
So is anyone else re-rolling?
Nah, that's only 24 damage to me.
And you're blown back 20 feet and prone. But yes.
Oh,
So is it 39 or 49?
It's 39 for the initial. If you fail the save, it's 39. If you make the save, it's 19.
Okay.
If you fail the save, it's 39 plus 10, and you're blown back 20 feet. If you make the save, it's just 19, and you're not blown back.
wait, why is it only 19?
Because half of 30, it's only half of the initial damage you take. So half.
Oh,
of,
I thought it was the total.
No, the plus 10 only happens if you fail your save. That's from you tumbling backwards 20 feet and banging into the ground as you move.
Oh, okay. I see now.
So as I get pelted with these rocks and this hot, disgusting breath, I'm going to cast Hellish Rebuke as a reaction.
All right, so I get knocked back 20 feet. That's 24.
So dexterity save.
No. Okay. Shit.
He failed his dexterity save.
Okay, I'll just double check, make sure. Yep, okay. Yeah, so I guess he takes 27 fire.
Yep. And it's Crick's turn.
You muted.
Yeah, sorry. That's from the fire from the immolation. By the end of his turn. Yeah.
Right.
So he takes that. The immolation continues. Burn, baby, burn.
Can he put that out? Can he take an
no.
action to put that out, or is it just there?
Oh, actually, he has to make a saving throw at the end of his turn, I think. The target repeats a saving throw. Yeah,
What
at the
kind
end of
saving
each of its
throw?
turns. I think it's dexterity. Yeah, it's dexterity.
At
Fuck.
mom's.
Okay. Well, it still burns him. But yeah, he
Right.
saves. Yeah, but all right.
And
So
it's
my
your
turn.
turn.
Yeah. So everyone's knocked back 20 feet now.
Everybody who got less than a 17 on their save versus his rocky breath.
Okay. Shit. I'm just gonna I'll lob a fireball at him. Will that hit
Okay.
anyone? If I hit him like in a,
No, he's
like
big
high
enough.
above him? Yeah.
If you hit him in the head, it won't hit anyone else.
Okay. Well, here it goes. Fine. Let me use the other page. Fireball. There it is. At 3rd level. Nice. Big numbers.
So he failed.
Beautiful. I see that 3 isn't adding on to the thing, so you have to. It's 38 altogether.
Yep. The Manticore. The Manticore is going to fly over towards Lucirosi and attempt to grapple him.
It's Lucirosi's opportunity to
I'll
get
have
on.
advantage on this.
You beat it. And then it takes 1 claw attack.
Fiddling 3 damage.
And then it's going to swoop away and fly over this way. So you can take an attack of opportunity.
Oh, fuck yeah. Is my attack at disadvantage because I'm prone?
Yes. I think that hit. Let me check his AC.
All right, I'm gonna use a 2nd level smite on that as well.
So you hit him with the rod. I assume it's in the axe formation.
Yeah.
You bring it up and dig it into his side and channel your holy power through it to the point where there's a burst of light, but it still flies off, seemingly still pretty vital. But there's a trail of blood between you and where it's now hovering over some bushes. Teal, it's your turn.
Teal's going to Teal's going to attempt to scale the giant.
Okay.
So I'm going to climb up 25 feet since it'll be half movement.
Okay. Give me an athletics check.
Yeah, when you do that, it's against the giant's acrobatics.
Right. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Ignore that roll. So, yeah, I think we could say you scale it with its nat 1.
Did you roll for?
I thought, how badly could you lose?
Since I already said it and it was a nat 1, I will still say you managed to scale it. You're up 25 feet.
So I'm
Just at about its waist.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend two Kai points, and if you'll see 2 large astral, like kind of ethereal looking arms sprout from T-Hill's shoulders. They're silvery and sinewy in color, and he takes one swipe with his short sword, and then one dick punch with one of his arms, since he's at about waist level. So there's that, and then.
So the short sword, there's a spark as it just glances off the rocky skin of the creature, but you could see the look of the tears form in its eyes with the dick punch.
And then I'm going to make my, bonus action. I already did my bonus action through making the things. Yeah, so that'll be my turn.
Oh, and to be fair, you can use athletics or acrobatics when you're climbing a creature.
I would have definitely used acrobatics.
Sarius, your turn.
Well, this motherfucker, I'm so far away from him. Looks like get about here, and then he's still 40 feet from me. Which makes this annoying. I want to hit him with that. My channel divinity.
Bruh, you got action.
Maybe, I was gonna say maybe I could use an action point to extend the range a little bit.
Sure.
All right. And let's see, where does Lucia Rossi look like he's about to charge at this guy again?
Yes.
Lucharos is on his back.
Yeah, Lucharo's on his back, but
Oh yeah. That reminds me, I was also on my back, so I'm not quite as close. Go back a couple of squares. So, what's Lucia Rossi's movement? Can he make it?
30 is his movement normally. So he can't quite stand. He could action point, which he probably will.
All right. Well then yeah, I'm gonna hold my action again. All right. So I almost forgot about my spiritual weapon.
Right.
Do
Do you have the marker down?
No, not yet. I'll put it down here in a second. Find it on my thing. Spiritual weapon. Ugh.
See, this time it just it can't quite bite into the skin of this creature.
All right. And then, yeah, I'm going to hold my action and an action point to be able to mark him to be swiftly brought to his grave by Lucia Rossi. Hopefully.
Okay, Aurelia.
All right. So Aurelia watches T-Hole awkwardly mount this stone creature and proceeds to do something that looks untoward and just kind of shields her eyes and just mumble something in vicious mockery. Towards the stone creature, not the person who thinks it's T-Hole.
Not the fake people.
Oh, you got it. Do you got to roll D4 or no? Doesn't matter.
No, he doesn't have to roll a D4.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
So he made it.
Okay. So he does not have disadvantage. Okay. Yeah, so he takes no damage.
Now it's Lucharos' turn. Unless you're doing something else.
No, I just don't want to watch this. This is disgusting.
Like softcore porn.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Except it's hardcore.
He is in a pretty tattered loincloth. It's likely there was skin contact between your astral hand and the dick punch.
It's all right. It's blessed, right? So that makes it sanitary.
Yep, that's how that works.
All right. So, anyways, can I use with my action point? Can I stand up and just fucking leap across the distance and on top of the dude, like holding on to him, like T-hole?
I would let you stand up and leap the distance and try to hold on to him like T-hole. You can make your athletics check, or I assume you would use athletics.
Not
Yeah.
Rossi too. Oh.
Yeah.
Everyone holding dicks.
He would also use Does he have to use acrobatics? Is that the rule?
Well, I'm climbing up on top of him, so yeah.
So you make it.
Okay.
You stand up and leap, prodigiously covering the entire distance, higher into the air than seems like it should be physically possible, and you're now grappled onto the creature with one arm.
All right.
And you can decide whether or not the thing you're holding on to is the dick. You know, wagging free. After having been punched out of its loincloth.
Oh boy.
Only a D100 can decide.
I have the head of a lion too. I have a pretty bad bite, I think.
Just bite it.
But it's made of stone, so I might break my teeth.
Yeah,
How embarrassing would that be?
That is not a
How'd you
story
break
you
your
wanna-
teeth? I bit a giant's dick.
Gives a whole new meaning to a pair of stones.
So then, yeah.
Demonetized.
Yeah.
I will make 2 weapon attacks.
Ooh.
Ooh-wee.
The second one hit.
Wow.
Double.
Okay. And then, so that's 24 damage, and then I'm also going to Divine Smite 2nd level.
So another
vulnerable.
That
32.
damage is
all of
also
that.
doubled.
All right, so 32 more.
Yeah. And then how is it looking?
It's a little hard to tell as it's already deformed, but you don't get the
Hard.
sense that it's, yeah. You don't get the sense, yeah, you're now above waist level. You're guessing it's probably going to fall pretty soon.
All right. I don't think I have any good bonus action stuff I can do since I'm using one hand to hold it, so I can't really use 2 weapon fighting at this point. So that's my turn.
All right. I do not have this set up. He's going to drop his axe. I don't have a attack set up for him to just punch, but I'm just going to use the axe attack, and we'll call it bludgeoning. He's going to attempt to. He'll attempt to punch each of you once. So first, T-Hole.
Punch himself in the dick.
And then he will attempt to punch. And if he does get a critical fail in that one, I will impose consequences on him. He will attempt to punch.
Uh-oh.
Shit.
He punches you in the dick.
Serious, please tell me you can cancel that.
Can I use cutting words?
Let me see here.
It wouldn't affect a crit. Cutting
Okay.
words.
What's the distance here? Nope, that's not
30
the right
feet.
one. My bad. That's not the right.
Yep.
No, yes, it is. Yeah. No, I cannot. Unless I use my other action point,
Fucker.
which I'll do. I'll do that. I'll use an action point if that'll let me extend that reach too.
Yeah, I'll allow you to use the action point.
All right. Both of them gone.
Lucharosi thanks you. All right, so that's 29, so that's only 14 damage.
Fucking hell.
Much more reasonable.
And the giant is going to move as well. Why not? Carrying the two of you along with it.
Take me home.
He makes it to there. Brick, it's your turn.
Okay. I am going to a chromatic orb at him. A fire one. Oh shit. No, I'm not.
When you throw it, one of the trees behind him bursts into flames.
Yes, a wildfire begins. That's me.
So the manticore, can't really do much about the two people grappled onto him. So the manticore flies over and lands next to Aurelia and tries to bite, missing, and then reaches out with its claws, probably also missing. The second one apparently hit.
Yeah. Okay, 9. Good. Hellish
That's
rebuke
it.
for him too.
So what's the damage?
16, got a deck save.
Right, you made
Oh,
the
did he
dex
make it?
save.
Okay, so 8 damage.
No. Bane.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. So
Oh, he's
unless
Bane, too.
unless he rolls a 1, always remind me of these things because I never seem to remember them. That was a lot of them. So yes, he failed. But he's still next to you, and it's T-Hole's turn.
So I'm going to continue climbing to the top. So I'm going to get up behind, on the back of his neck.
So he's got long hair. So getting all you could get, basically climb the hair, but you wouldn't be like directly in contact with his skin unless you're climbing under the hair. He's just like the picture, basically. He's fairly
Yeah.
shaggy-headed.
By the way, Kurt, he can use, if he wants to try and get us off of him, he can use an action to do that. If he does that, he can use his athletics check then.
Mhm.
Our opposed athletics or acrobatics.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess what I'm going to do is climb up and onto his hair, and then try to go near the ear, and then I'm just going to start punching his eardrum, or as far as I can get in there with my astral arms.
Okay.
And I'm going to use my 2 attacks plus a bonus attack.
Beautiful.
The third one missed, but the first two hit.
Yeah, so it deals 13 radiant damage to his eardrum.
Okay.
I really like that you're using the Way of the Astral Self. That's a really cool monk.
I thought it was thematically fitting. And, an interesting, different monk style than I played before.
Yeah, and although Shiroshi is in a blind rage right now, he's also having flashes of reason, being like, "What the fuck is T-Hole doing fighting?"
Where the fuck these arms come from?
We also had
Well,
like
that makes more sense to Lucirosi because magic, but
Sure.
So that's my turn.
Zarius.
Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see here. Let's do a quick spiritual weapon against the giant there.
Yep.
I can't find the thing.
Should be under the player character.
Oh fuck!
list.
Here it is. I see it now. I'm just fucking blind. It's fine. So there's that, and then I'm gonna turn and hit the Manticore with We'll just go with Toll the Dead, I think. Wisdom save. He is baned.
Yep. You failed anyway.
Perfect. I guess I'll move a little bit this way. All right. And then, yeah, I'm good.
So you hear this bell toll, and you see there is one of the manticore reels back a bit, and one of its eyes begins to turn white and cloudy. But it's still standing and looks like it's going to attack Aurelia again. But it's Aurelia's turn.
Do I need to move to cast the spell, or is it?
If you are making a ranged spell attack, which you're probably not because you're a bard, then it would be a disadvantage. But otherwise, you can cast spells.
Okay, so I'm going to cast Dissonant Whispers.
Okay, on the giant or the manticore?
Or the manticore.
Okay, what kind of save is that?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't. You get a wisdom save.
It failed.
And
So it uses its reaction to move distance. Let's subtract the damage. So it runs 1, 2, to there because it's not flying at the moment. You can take an attack of opportunity if you have a weapon in hand.
I do not.
Okay.
I could have a girl punch.
You slap it, you boop it on the nose.
So Lucirosi, it's your turn.
All right.
You are clinging to the dick of a giant.
Cannon.
There I was.
How did I meet your mother?
There I was again.
Yeah.
And
Not
that's
gonna fool me this time.
And that's how me and your dad met.
All right. Continuing to just pummel him in the dick. With the 15, I'm going to use my channel divinity to add 10 to that.
Okay.
You're punching
so-
him. Sorry.
So
Yeah.
as you punch him in the dick, You see again his eyes water and he begins to swoon and topples over. Both T-Hole and Lucirosi make me a dex save as this thing is falling over and could harm you as it falls.
Which way is it falling?
Forward towards Lucirosi as
Can
it began to hunch over as it felt the pain.
Can I jump off?
Yes, I would say you can jump off.
So yeah,
I mean, I think that is part of the dexterity thing of you trying to avoid being damaged. But since you have slow fall, you would probably, I would say you could negate it with slow fall.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like if he's toppling forward and I'm kind of like on his side, I would just try to like jump off.
So Lucirosi, you failed to save, so you take that much damage as the giant falls. And T-Hole,
is that halved? Is it bludgeoning or is it?
Yes, it's bludgeoning, so it would be halved for you. And T-Hole, you are essentially falling 50 feet. So see if your slow fall beats 14 damage.
Let's see.
I assume it does.
You can
Probably.
use your action to fall 5 times your monk level.
Right.
Yeah, so it does.
So T-Hole is fine. The giant is dead.
So T-Hole lands just kind of like pillowing down and then like wipes like dusts off his garb. You okay, Lucirosi?
What about the Manticore?
Yeah,
Right.
Lucirosi just growls at T-Hole. And T-Hole, you notice that Lucirosi, when he's in his rage, he has a kind of different look about him. In fact, his eyes kind of change color. They're not the normal blue or golden. I forget what color his eyes are, but they're more of a darker, less vibrant. Do I still have? Am I trapped under the giant, or do I have the ability to move?
Yeah, you're not trapped under it. You can still move.
Okay, so then I would move feet closer to the manticore. And then that would be my turn.
Crick, it's your turn. You there, Brendan?
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's my turn. Yep, sorry. My bad. Damn, I don't have that spell prepared. I'm going to just launch a chromatic orb at the thing, at the
Okay.
manticore.
That hits.
And it's made of fire.
So it is wobbling on its feet, but still in the game. Let me just see. Yeah, it is going to fly away. So it makes it to about there-ish. Let me see. Yeah, about there. It is swooping down now off the edge of the cliff. So this would probably be your last round to attack it. But Teal's turn.
Teal sees it go off the edge of the cliff. And he just kind of shrugs his shoulders. And I mean, I guess he'll move like as far as he can towards it. Which is like here-ish. Through the brush. But then once he's there, I guess I'll hold my action to see if he like comes back up. But that's it.
Yeah, you can still see him at the moment. He is hovering over the edge, but it looks like he's preparing to dive down. Zarius.
Yeah. I can't move all that much. 60 feet on a dash. So I mean, I don't
It's
think I
probably
can.
difficult terrain though, with the.
No, the bushes. You could step through the bushes. I'm not
Oh.
counting that.
Of course, I could get to about roughly there, I think. And then he's still beyond the range of my cantrips, so I'll just let him be.
Okay, Aurelia.
I'm gonna try to hit him with Eldritch Blast. No.
He's able to dodge that. Lucharosi.
All right. This is a bit of a metagame question, so feel free to just be like, do what you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
But in the interest of potentially saving time, if Lucharosi were to grow his wings and give chase, is there a possibility he could catch him? Or would the Manticore just get away with his fly speed?
What's your fly speed?
It would be same as my movement speed, 30 feet.
I mean, because he's flying down, I think you would probably have to rely on ranged attacks because he would be gaining distance from you every round.
Okay. So with that, Lucharosi is going a very rare move on his part. He's going to drop his Rod of Lordly Might, pick up his bow, and shoot at him twice.
Lucharosi has a bow?
A magic bow.
What?
He's been storing it in his loincloth this whole time.
Yeah, it doesn't have any bonus as far as I'm aware. Or no, actually it does have a +1 bonus to it, which is good because I have a -1. So I got a long time ago, towards the beginning.
Wow.
The second one hit. And you see, as the arrow sinks into it, the creature lets out a howl and just plummets rather than gracefully flying down the side.
Wait, did I kill it?
Yes.
MVP.
I like to think that Lucharosi actually ended his rage, pulled out his bow, fired his first shot wildly because he was still coming out of the rage, but then calmly did a
Nice.
Somewhere below it probably lands on Daggerface because that's Daggerface's luck.
Anybody follow the Order of the Stick comic book, webcomic?
Not in a long time.
Oh, reminded me of the flumps. There's people are always falling on the flumps.
So I guess I would look over the edge just to see if it lands. It doesn't, make sure it doesn't move.
It is to the valley floor below. It is a couple 100 feet, but you do see the bloody mess it leaves when it slams into the ground.
Nice. Then go back.
Lucharosi would look to Aurelia and Zarius and ask, are either of you hurt?
Nothing I will not survive. Be fine.
Emotionally, yes.
Nice.
Kepri comes flying out of hiding.
But
Is it
are you
over?
physically hurt, Aurelia?
I'm okay.
My stomach burns.
Doesn't your stomach always burn?
It burns with hunger.
So
Give me
uh,
some time. I'm gonna start chanting and casting prayer of healing.
what does prayer of healing do?
It heals it's up to 6 creatures for 2d6 plus my mod, so or 2d8. I mean.
Oh.
Yeah. It just takes 10 minutes to cast, so it's not a combat spell. So.
And is that a wait? Then is that a one-time thing or?
Yeah, it's a spell. It's a 2nd level spell.
Yeah, and
That
by
heals
about
6
this
people.
time, this tree is just completely on fire now from the stray orb of fire that got thrown into it.
Trail has been blazed.
What do you suppose this giant wanted with us? You think we were just his next meal, or? I don't know if there was like some prior discussion where we were expecting giants up in this pass.
Do we know what a manticore is?
Yeah, you would have heard. They're relatively famous as monsters go. Like you would have heard stories of them. Some of you, I mean, you had adventuring careers before all of this, so some of you may have seen one. They are almost always evil. You never hear a story about a good one. But it was apparently the pet or servant or ally of this demonic giant. Probably means it was evil. I would say you do see that this giant does have on him a very large sack, 2 if you count the ones that you were punching, and he has a giant-sized gold ring on his finger.
We're just gonna comically carry it around.
If it's magic, maybe it resizes.
It
But,
might.
so is
Somebody determine if it's magic.
yeah.
I could if I really needed to.
Is there anything on the giant's person or where it came from that might be not just valuable, but give us any kind of insight into what it was doing here?
I mean, I would say, given just passive insight, clearly this was an attempt at an ambush with the goat. Since it had a goat out, though, it might not have been planning on you being the one to come for the goat. It may have just been a general trap to see what wants to eat a goat. And it was definitely cupping this manticore in its hands and standing still so that it couldn't be differentiated from the rocks around it. So it was clearly trying to lay a trap of some sort. It's not necessarily clear it was laying the trap for you or why it thought you would be particularly interested in a goat. Are you actually casting Detect Magic?
If everybody will allow me, I will do it ritually.
So yeah, there's definitely the ring doesn't appear to be magical, but there definitely is something magical inside the bag it's carrying around.
It's a
The ring is
deal.
just a ring. Look in the bag.
Yeah, Luciorosi was he would have checked what was on the giant's person, and then once done with that, would check where it was hiding.
Yeah, there's nothing really where it was hiding. There's a depression that it seems to have carved out of the stone to lay in. But inside the bag, you find it has 400 gold pieces, 2,000 silver pieces. There are 2 beehives with intact honeycombs in them. Several pounds of salt, 3 or 4 pounds of salt. There's one of the magical things is in a smaller brownish colored bag. And then there is a golden short sword that's glowing like a torch. And as you look into it, into the blade, you don't see your own reflection in it. You see the image of a young man with dark hair and gold on gold eyes, which is typical of people from the region, the desert region called Ismailir. He seems pretty grim and unhappy, but for some reason his reflection appears where yours should be.
Interesting. So Lucirosi would take all this stuff and okay. So who wants what? Does anybody else want the short sword?
Well, I wouldn't mind it. I just got this regular old short sword.
All right, you take the short sword. You'll probably get better use out of it than I would. Aurelia, that bag of tricks, it's got your name on it, I think.
Okay.
Think of all, I mean, it just makes sense. Aurelia with animal companions.
Gross.
So I have a good amount of strength, and Zarius, I know you have a good amount of strength, so we should probably split the gold between us.
There's a rat.
Yeah. These are under summoned creatures, which you should now be able to see, Peter. There's a tab for the bag of tricks that shows all the things you can, it's a random thing what you pull out of the bag. But as soon as I get finished showing you them all, you'll be able to see what you can get. This is where he got his goat. And the reason you realize it vanished is just a summoned creature.
Hmm.
So when it was killed with the firebolt, it vanished.
Well, how do we want to split up the gold? I was just thinking, because gold weighs a lot, that me and Zarius would want to carry it. But I also realize now that you guys might not want me having the gold.
Yes. Well, I don't know that yet, but I don't know what currency is, so it's good to have some probably.
It's useful to buy slaves. Is this a +1 damage or attack, or both?
Both.
So whatever you feel is a fair share, I'll take it.
Well, I have no interest in silver.
So,
But
yoink.
so do we want to just split it? So there's 400 gold pieces. How many of us are there?
Well, the ring is another 1,200, and it only weighs 24 pounds.
Right, but it's like a hula hoop, isn't it?
I mean, it's big enough for his finger, so yeah, it is bulky. But I mean, if you didn't care, it's more or less a plain ring. If you didn't care about keeping it intact, it's still gold, so it's pretty soft. You could probably like bend it in, crush it in.
Oh yeah, I could melt it down into like something smaller.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Into
cool.
like a 24-pound lump.
All right.
Think of how many one rings you could forge with that.
Whoa.
We'll wear it like a sash.
Yeah,
There's a
Crick, if
cross.
you want to do that, Luciarosi's all over you just doing that.
Cool. I melt it down. You can carry the lump around.
See, if I had known where that fight was going to go, I totally would have made it like a Prince Albert ring.
Oh boy.
So
So, we can just
if we
split it
just
all
divide
up.
by 5, it's 80 gold pieces each.
Great.
Alright.
So to use the bag of tricks, Peter, you just roll a d8.
Okay.
Use an action to reach into the bag and throw one of those little spheres of clay in there that you throw out. And rolling the d8 determines which animal you get.
Okay.
So where are we at right now? Since I missed the first portion.
You moved from the ruins of the Floatstone Palace to just outside Montvale, where you took the road going north, or northeast rather, to Starlock Prison. So you are essentially about 50 miles outside of Montvale.
Gotcha.
So we're still traveling, or are we
Yes.
gonna stop? Yep. Okay. I'm gonna do the next skill check. I want to use.
No, you're not. You have a minus
I'm not.
54.
That'll be fine. I have a good.
Well,
I have a
the next skill check would be the next day, so you should roll again to see if you're blessed or maned.
Oh, okay, good call.
Oh,
So next day means full day's rest, kind of thing.
It's the next day, so you would get to roll again.
So we
I
get all
mean,
our spell slots back.
Yes, you would get all your spell slots
Oh,
back.
cool. All right, good.
Okay, so we're
Alright,
at full
cool.
health and everything too.
Right. Except that you can't heal, and my rule is you can't heal exhaustion while you're on the road, unless you take like a week of like a full time off, or you have like a access to an inn. So Zarius would still have a level of exhaustion.
Well, I
Okay.
might just deal with it because I have access to greater restoration.
I'm blessed.
Okay. Yes. The Bane doesn't count on
Yeah,
that particular
I know.
roll.
On that. Yeah, thankfully. I think
All
it's
right.
truly cursed.
No, I mean, then when you were blessed, it would just be that much easier to stay
to stay
blessed.
blessed. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well then, yeah, I'm gonna do the next skill check.
What
All
what
right,
skill are
I'm
you
fine
using?
with that.
I'm planning on using deception. So the way I'm going to use it is that I start making paths of fire and then following them and then looking back to see you guys, and you guys are like, I don't know about that. But I'm like, yeah, it's the right way. But then I would actually change my mind because you guys obviously know where you're going. Well, not obviously, but have a better idea than I do. So that's how I'm planning on using deception. Will it work like that? Is that okay?
How does that help their journey or your journey? It could just be. Yeah, here I would say yes, it can work. I don't know what you were thinking. First thing that occurs to my mind is that for some reason this amuses you.
No. Yeah, so because I'm clueless on where I'm going, I would cast some sort of fire spell, and I'd be like, yeah, I know where I'm going, but actually I don't. So when I look back at those guys, and they're like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm like, oh, actually, and then go the right way.
I would say, since you're using deception, if you succeed, that means you've actually convinced them to follow you on these fire paths, because you've deceived them into you're having some sort of plan, and you then lead them back to the path they would have taken anyway. And they're none the wiser that you're not actually saving them that much time.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah, cool. Here we go. We're good.
So there you go. You believe Crick has found a few shortcuts here and there, burning paths through the rocks. Yeah, that greater restoration definitely heals the level of exhaustion.
Yeah.
So would we ever, when we come back onto the path after walking through this slag path, would we kind of realize that we didn't actually save much time?
I would say no. He sells it in such a way that you think he is literally blazing you a new trail, cutting corners off of the otherwise. These roads aren't necessarily straight. They follow the curves of the mountains.
Oh, Crick, you're so much better than our previous companion Hellweir.
So, Dustin, do you remember Murder Party?
I never watched Murder Party.
Oh,
I wasn't on that trip.
oh, that's too bad. So there's this terrible movie called Murder Party, where it's a Halloween movie where they hold this fake costume party and invite somebody that they intend to kill. And the guy gets out and he's dressed in, like, he made his own cardboard robot suit. And when he gets out, he's like got a bunch of tools, and they come in and find him because he managed to get out of his things. And he kind of goes like, and then he throws his out this way. I'm imagining Crick, that's what he's doing. Those really dumb fake outs.
Leading us directly to the murder party. Sounds about right.
But he is definitely selling it with a 30 deception check.
Yep, that's right.
Jesus.
Follow me. I'm literally blazing a trail.
So that day passes. Crick has found some shortcuts for you. Who wants to do the next one?
Who hasn't gone?
I'll go.
Only Zarius and Crick have gone.
Oh, okay.
So I'll use my perception just to kind of look out, see if there's any things that are clearly going to hinder our travels, or if I happen to like see people coming that look like we need to avoid them. So I would kind of just take point at some time and do that.
Okay, roll me a perception check. So what you notice is that in the distance ahead, you definitely don't see anybody coming. But after a while, you haven't really seen anybody on this road. Even the crucified and piked bodies along the side of the road have petered out. You may be in what's in some sort of no man's land between wherever the elf had mentioned humans of Longspear holding the prison itself. So this may just be an area that both sides avoid since the region's not in conflict at the moment. But you don't see anyone coming. You do see, though, in the mountains ahead, there appears to be a storm. And as you're watching it, you realize that the storm isn't passing. It's not moving in the sky. It seems almost like it's just fixed over the mountains ahead of you. And it's been there the whole day you've been walking. And so you're guessing potentially not natural. And it doesn't look like it's going to let up by the time you get there. So you'll be walking in the rain.
So I'll point that out to the rest of the group, and especially for Zarius and Aurelia, and with reluctance T-Hole. What do you make of that? It doesn't seem like a natural storm.
Can I make an insight or an arcana check to ascertain, like, is there anything I could ascertain from it, like, that I might know, or something I might have learned or read?
In this case, it's more of a nature check, but yes, you could make a check.
All right.
Do you have to be trained?
No, not necessarily. So T-Hole, I mean, you all notice basically the same thing. I would say Zarius, you notice at least a little bit more that it's not only not moving, it is probably dark as night once you get further into where the storm is, because those clouds appear to be completely opaque.
And it does appear to be raining.
From what you can tell, it's still, a good 30 miles off, but you're so high you can see it.
I looked at Crick. How do you deal with rain?
So cold.
Does Crick know what rain is? Having never seen it.
Yeah,
Having never seen rain.
Is it like
Rain is
water?
Rain is when fire falls from the sky where you're from.
Brimstone.
I am fireproof.
This is water falling.
Brimstone.
I may need.
Appears to be much of it.
Will you survive?
So cold.
Will you die?
I don't think I would die. My body can hold its heat, but I may be affected in other ways.
So the next day, who wants to make the last check?
Was there any other impact of the storm?
You'll probably hit the storm towards the end of the next day or sometime during the next day.
Okay.
Can I use persuasion?
Sure.
Can we find a few, I don't know, some maybe hobgoblins or somebody on the road that seems to know the way we're supposed to go, and I just present myself as the lost little girl, and I need them to help find the way, or this weary group.
You do. Okay, so you find someone along the road. He appears to be somewhat grizzled old dwarf with a bunch of gear on his back. He looks like he may be a prospector in the mountains.
Okay. All right. So I'll roll persuasion.
Yep. How does a lion-headed girl get lost in these mountains?
We're just not from here.
Well, and where are you trained to go?
It has stars in the name, I think. Starlock? Does that sound familiar?
You're trained to go to prison. Have you committed a crime?
No. If nice is a crime, I guess I have.
Well, I don't think nice is a crime, but it's none of my business to figure out why it is you want to be going there. I'll be happy to show you a few shortcuts that I know of.
What's your name?
What is his name? I am Zan de Pride Guard. I can show you a few shortcuts through the mountains. I don't want a little girl to be wandering up these roads. You never know what you find on the roads.
No, it's scary.
So he leads you off the road a bit, up a hill, and you see that there's the entrance. Initially, it's just a crack, but he says, if you all come in, it widens inside. It'll get us through this mountain a lot faster than walking over it.
Does it look like he has any ailments or injuries or anything like that, other than he's old and grizzled?
You're not sure. Like, this is a guy who lives his life on his own. So his hygiene is absolutely abominable. His gear, half of it looks sort of broken or on the verge of breaking. He looks like he's probably physically pretty hardy, but you don't know if he's mentally all there or not. not necessarily like evil or dangerous, but you know, he definitely spends a fair bit of time talking to himself.
So if he has like something, I'd like to use mending on something, like maybe a piece of one of his pieces of equipment or something, or maybe his cloak or something is like got a bad tear in it, and just kind of.
Sure, his cloak has a long tear down the back.
I could do that too.
And you do that, and he backs up a bit, and his eyes get wide, and he says, "Is that clerical mending or devilry mending?"
That's Asheros mending.
Oh, thank God. I was afraid that you were one of those magic-using wizard types.
Why are they bad?
Of course they are. They truck with devils and all sorts of evil things. I don't even have my garlic on me to ward them off.
How did you survive the war? I saw all sorts of bodies back there.
What war?
Wasn't there an attack or something?
An attack?
That's so out of it.
Was there an attack?
I don't know.
Are you fleeing a war?
There was some kind of something that happened back in that town.
Why are lion-headed people involved in a war around here? Where are your people even from?
We're from far away.
I can imagine. I haven't seen a lion since I was a little kid, and that was back when the Empire ruled everything. They had all sorts of exotic animals. I'll bet you the kids today, the kids who are only, 100 years old, probably never even seen a lion.
No, they haven't.
They would just see you and not know what you had the head of.
T-Hole says, yeah, such a shame people growing up these days.
I turn around to the rest of the group. Can he come with us?
It's
He
likely
remembers
too
the old
dangerous for
days.
him.
He'll
I
be
have
okay.
no problem travelers accompanying us, especially if, sir, you require some kind of protection. Obviously, traveling in numbers is much safer.
Traveling in numbers is a good way to get your claim jumped. I am here to find gold and stake my claim and bring my family back to the riches we once knew.
How much gold do you need?
Well, as much as possible.
There's this ring.
Are there prospectors in these mountains?
These are the mountains of gold, the Auric Mountains. This is where most of the gold that's ever been mined by the Empire has been found. So I don't know where there's gold at the moment, but there is gold in these mountains, and I'm going to sniff it out.
Well, best of luck to you. I hope the mountains get you find your gold before the storm comes.
What storm?
And I just kind of gesture in like the direction of where we saw the storm.
Oh, that's some sort of foul magic. Your path may take you there if you're going to Starlock Prison. That storm has been there for at least a year. I don't go there anymore simply because I have no reason to stumble around in the dark, and there are dead things that walk the roads there.
That is good information to have.
Sounds pleasant.
Well, come on, this cave will lead us to the other side and save you probably half a day's journey. So he leads you through a cave. There's a fair bit of climbing, but it's all pretty easy. You could see someone, possibly he, carved steps and handholds in places. But even Zarius is not having too hard a time managing it. And you emerge out the other side, and Zan explains that he has no interest in going to Starlock Prison and being in the dark. He prefers to prospect where he is now.
Well, good luck to you, and hopefully you find your fortune.
And good luck to
May
you.
Ashros shine brightly upon your path.
I hope you lion people stop waging wars soon. Wars are not good for anyone.
What do you
No,
mean?
they are not.
Yeah, what is it good for?
Nothing.
What's the ground look like? Is it we just came out of a cave, so I assume it's all rocky, maybe a little bit of
There's some dirt, but there is a lot of rock, like bare exposed rock.
so I'm going to go and try to find maybe a little patch of dirt and take like 5 gold pieces out and drop it in the dirt and quickly cover it up. And turn and go, is there something over here? Do you sniff something over here?
He comes over and he is literally sniffing the air. And he immediately hones in on that spot and begins digging through the dirt and unearths these gold pieces. And says initially there's like a glint of gold. And he's like, you found it. You found a vein of gold coins.
Wow.
It's like money just grows out of the ground.
Wow.
He's like looking at them. He's biting them. And he pockets them. Stands up, stretches a bit, takes out his pick and begins digging. There's any more coins here, they might be deeper.
Good luck.
So you make your way down the mountain again and find yourself back on the road. You are definitely now under the clouds and in the rain, and it gets dark increasingly quickly. But you begin to approach the spot where on the map Starlock Prison should be. And you can see the road here is of better quality. It seems to be better maintained. It's much flatter and more even. It still basically has to follow the contours of the mountains a bit. But the paving stones appear to be in place and intact for the most part. And ahead of you, you see there is a wall and with a gate in it that blocks the entire pass with sheer cliffs on either side of it. The gate is open and laying in the middle of the drawbridge that leads across a pit in front of the wall. There is a dead body of what looks to be a human in imperial armor. It looks as if there's definitely a javelin piercing from his back, sticking into the air. That seems to be what killed him.
So at this point,
that's where we can end the session. But go ahead, you can.
all right. I was gonna say Lucirosi would turn to Zarius and say, perhaps it's time to use your magic to see if Lokexicus and the others are in the prison.
Yep. We could do that. Like offline, really. So try and develop what to say. I got 25 words.
Yeah.
So
make everyone count.
Yeah.
A's and thes.
Next session, you'll have 2 action points. You could spend action points to get more words.
They were helpful at this session. All right.